Welcome back to the DIY Powerwall project. I think this is now part 5. And I know in the last episode, I think I said we were going to add more boards in parallel to increase the capacity. But my SMD fuses haven't arrived and I haven't finished soldering all the 8650 holders onto the boards yet. So we're going to look at something more interesting anyway. My new hybrid solar inverter. So we had a look at this last time, the small little inverter, and now we're going to look at this hybrid inverter. It's a generic one, but I'm surprised at the quality. It is quite acceptable. It is quite acceptable. This costs about 270 Australian dollars, and it can charge via solar and AC, and of course you have your AC out. Your 3.2 kilowatt pure sine wave inverter. And all configurable through here. No app. I mean, you can get communication, but I didn't bother. You can do everything through the interface here. It's 24 volt. And what I have here is for the AC input, we just got a standard 16 amp breaker. And for the AC out, we have an RCBO. Which is apparently very safe, and you can actually test the breaker here, so it doesn't just trip on current, it trips on leakage or short circuits and stuff like that. And we have a DC breaker for the solar input. Now this is quite beastie. It can take up to 500 volts of solar. Takes minimum 30 volts to start. That's just a DIN rail, and here, because we're just testing, I've just cut up an extension cable and wired the live and neutral in and used a Wago connection for the earth to join them together, and we've put it to the earth point there with just a little fork terminal. So yes, we're actually, ironically, we are in an actual power outage situation. So over there, I'm actually testing the AC in of here. It was charging up the batteries again from the River 3 Max Plus, because that's got my solar connected to it at the moment, and it was charging this when it reached below 24 volts. As you can see, AC in is there, and now we're back to battery power. So I've artificially set this low to start charging the batteries from AC to top it up while the sun's out. And yeah, this is running from the Powerwall currently, and we've just got a temporary 25 amp cable with a nice little magnetic field there up to here and up to the bus bars. So I've started putting a proper connection in, because I actually want to draw quite a decent load from there. 100 amp fuse. I don't plan on going past 2.4 kilowatts. 100 amps should be okay. So I needed to get some more 4-gauge cable. I ran out. So this is where I went to JCar and got a meter of each to help me finish those connections. And because it's a board, okay, I'm actually going to use an SB120 connector so I don't, so I can remove them and move them around as I need to. So the SB120 connector is basically an Anderson connector that's rated for 120 amps. So usually we're used to seeing the SB50, which is the standard 50 amp connector, and JCar actually stock the SB120 connector with lugs as well. Let's have a look. So it is a bit bigger, and you get some lugs there as well, and that should fit there. Yep. And you obviously need a decent sized crimper, hydraulic crimper. So let's have a look at, in comparison to a standard 50 amp connector. Yeah, it is quite big. So I'm going to have it like there, and from the battery, the inverter side, have it there, and we just join it up when we need to, instead of fixing it in there and having trouble moving it around if I want to move it around. Yeah, and this is 120 amps. It's more than enough. So what I'm going to do is cut up the cables and crimp the lugs, and then I'll loop you back in. And before I loop you back in, here's the listing for the 24 volt 3000 watt pure sine wave inverter. $270.99. You also get an extra $10 off with this code, and you can actually stack this with May 17p off for an extra 17%. So I got it for, you know, just over $200. It's an absolute bargain. The seller was actually pretty good. He sent me the PDF manual for me to double check that I could set customizable charging voltages and all that stuff. So yeah, this is, you know, it's not a Victron quality, but it does everything kind of what a Victron would do, like a Victron, what do you call the multi-plus stuff. So I'm pretty happy with this. For this price, you know, you probably can't even get a 3000 watt 12 volt inverter. And there's heaps of modes in here, like you can have solar priority, utility priority, or both. The grid can step in if you want to. So you can even like peak shave if you want to. Here we go. Solar charging only, electric utility priority, solar priority, hybrid charging. So yeah, you could attach a smaller 24 volt battery, and you can power loads, offset them with solar panels. You know, you could have your old grid tie panels or any old panels you have laying around, put them in series, and yeah, just save a little bit of money. Okay, these are not the easiest things to crimp. Have a 25 size die. I'm not sure if that's mil or something. Maybe it is millimeter. It's a hex die, and basically do it 2 or 3 times and really do a small pull test, because you don't want to pull it out and then it comes all the way out and you can't get it back in, because it may be hard to obtain these locally unless you bought a few of them in case you make a mistake. And we just put a bit of heat shrink over it and slide it in there. So yeah, it's actually I break a sweat doing this. And you take off the front face plate. We just take off 4 screws here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we see the terminals here. So I just have to unscrew this and put my SB120 leads in there. Okay, we are now wired back in. Just so you know, this version of the hybrid inverter, 4 gauge cable is the maximum. Anything higher, it's not going to fit in there. So 4 gauge maximum. Added some cable clips there. There's my SB120. I was just going to use ring terminals direct to over there, but this makes it a lot more modular, and yeah, I'm only planning on drawing 100 amps. There is the ANL fuse, and I got the cover on it so we don't cause accidental shorts. Bus bar there, negative bus bar there. So yeah, we're all done. Okay, we are now all wired in. So the 4 gauge cables from the inverter to the battery, they are there. SB120 connector. We have a 100 amp ANL fuse, so a beastie thing with a nice cover. And yeah, I'm really happy with this. I hope that I crimped the lugs on strong enough. It's not an easy task, for sure. You need the proper tools. And yeah, just so you know, 4 gauge cable is the maximum that you can add in this. Anything higher is not going to fit in that hole. So now I can draw the maximum that I really wanted to draw, which is 2,400 watts, or basically about 2,000 watts. This can do 3,000, remember, but I'm not going to go that high. And I have to calculate how much I can safely pull from this. I don't want to, you know, cause any damage, because I only have 5 amp fuses on each cell. So I'll do some calculations and let you know what the maximum I can draw with that pack before I add any more in parallel, because I do want to test the inverter out here. So I'll loop you back in with a load that can utilize all of this without popping any of my fuses. Okay, just a few more things I've added to the system. We have an 50 amp Anderson connector, only a 30 amp fuse because this cable is not really 50 amps. That's an additional entry point for the system instead of the bus bar, because I also have a 15 amp XT60 connection, which I just used down here for either charging with AC or doing capacity tests. Yeah, another entry point. And you've seen already the SB120 connector for the inverter to the system itself, to the bus bars. I'm just going to walk you through the settings that I've done with the solar inverter. So I'll turn it on. Firstly, I can tell you the idle draw of this inverter, which is very interesting. Hasn't kicked on yet. It'll take a few seconds for it to click on. Here we go. So it's drawing about 1.2 amps on idle. No, sorry, 1.4 amps on idle. So it's about 35 watts, 35-ish, 40 watts idle. That's something to consider. I've got a clamp meter here. We have just a standard breaker for AC in, 16 amp, and we have an RCBO for AC out, and a DC breaker for PV in, solar in, which I can't test at the moment. I just need more space. I'm running out of room here, waiting for my shed to be built. But yeah, we'll test that once I move into the shed. So I'll tell you the settings I have, and I'll just show you the display here. So input AC, nothing, output 230 volts. So AC output's working. And I'll show you that with the heat gun. There you go, working. If I press down, we can show you the display here. So battery is 28.3. Turn it on, sags. 9% of the load. 290 watts. Okay. And the great thing about this, with AC in, I've got the breaker so I can turn it on and off as I need. But yeah, hybrid inverters are really great because when you set particular voltage thresholds, AC will kick in and charge it up to a specific voltage and then turn off, and then the battery goes on again. And when it's charging, it's bypassing. So your loads are powered via actual AC of the grid, and then you switch back to battery, depending on what mode you have. But when you have solar, you know, solar's the priority first, and then AC, all configurable. That's why I got this, because I'm not using lead acid or lithium iron phosphate. I'm using lithium ion, and I want to set safe parameters. Okay, so to get into the settings, we hold down enter, and I've already set them, but I'll show you what I've set. So 0 is escape, exit to setting mode. Press down, we've got output source priority selection. So by default, it's set to SUB, which solar energy provides power to the loads first. And then if there's no solar, the grid supplies the power. So I don't want that. I've set it to SBU, which solar energy provides power to the loads first. Then if there's no solar, the battery. And if there's no battery, then the grid. And if I don't want grid to ever come on, I just don't use this. I don't turn it on by the breaker here. Okay, the next setting. Next setting is maximum charging current for the entire system. You know, AC or solar. Default 60 amps. I've only set that to 10 amps because of my current setup. I don't want it to blow. So it's set to 10 amps, and you can increase it in 10 amp increments. Next setting, AC input voltage range. I left it at default because I want between 90 and 280 volts AC. That's the voltage range. 5, battery type. There's heaps of settings here, but I've set it to 5, which is use for user defined, and that will come in play a bit further on. And the next one, auto restart when overload occurs. No, I don't want it to auto start because something's wrong. I don't want it to keep flapping. Okay, auto restart when over temperature occurs. No, that's set to don't auto restart for the same reason as before. Eco function, system will temporarily stop when the load is in low battery mode. I set that to disable, which is the default. Okay, output frequency 50 Hertz for Australia. Output voltage default 230 volts for Australia. Next is maximum utility charging current. So from the grid, I've only set this to 10 amps because of my capacity here, but you can go up to 30 amps. Okay, the next setting, oh, I've got to go back in the settings menu now because it timed out. Okay, setting voltage point back to grid power. So when you're low voltage, when you want the grid to kick in, I've set that to 22 volts. The next setting is when do you want to go back to battery mode. So I'm going to charge up to 27.5 and then the battery will take over again. Okay, the next setting, charge source priority. There's utility first, solar and utility, or only solar. I've set that to solar and utility, which is default. Alarm control, I've set it to off because that apparently also turns off the beeping every time you push a button. Okay, the next setting is auto return to default display screen. I set that to no. I want to keep it at the screen that I left it on. Okay, next one, backlight, that's always on. I want it to be on. Beeps while primary source is interrupted. I've set that to off because beeping really annoys me. Overload bypass, I've set it to disable. So what this does is if it is enabled, the unit will transfer to grid power if you're overloaded. I don't want to do that. Okay, the next one, battery low voltage alarm. So I've set this at 21.3. Now this is important. So when you set this, once it hits this threshold, it's going to start charging from grid if it's available. So mine's set at 21.3. If the grid's on, it'll charge up. Record fault code, I've set that to enable. I want to be able to see what errors have happened over the time it's been running. 26 is bulk charging voltage. So what I want to charge to, I'm charging to 29.2 volts. Fully charged for lithium ion pack 7S is 29.4, but I want to be a little bit safer. Float charge, I left to the same thing. You don't need to float with this, with these cells. Reset factory settings, I'm not resetting to the factory, so I'm not touching that. Low DC cutoff voltage, so if it falls below this value you set, it's just going to turn off the inverter. So I've set that to 21, so that is 3 volts per cell. Okay, equalization, that is disabled, don't need equalization. And equalization voltage is 29.2, even though it's disabled, I'm not using it. And the rest is about equalization, which I don't use, so they're all default. And the other settings are for communication over this side, which I don't use. So that is everything. And that's the crash course in this hybrid inverter and how I've set it up. And if you have AC plugged in, the AC light comes on. If the battery goes too low, your loads will be powered by AC, and then it'll start charging the battery. And once it hits the high voltage threshold, AC cuts off and your battery powers the loads again. So it can run like a automatic, load shedding system. So you can actually save some electricity costs using this. But I need more time with it to be familiar with it as well. And of course, I guess it'll have to be the next episode when I join the rest up in other 2 boards and mount them all and join them in parallel for each string. And then we can actually test it with a bigger load. My goal is to be able to boil a kettle, over 2000 watts. All right, so this was the hybrid inverter on my system, few upgrades. What I'm going to do now is basically drain the whole system and top balance it because it has gotten out of balance. I can only get it up to 28.5 volts at the moment. So I'm going to drain it and then charge it back up and see if I can top balance it. That's all for now. Thanks for joining in. Subscribe to stay part of the journey, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye for now.